ready. Okay.
Ready. No.
Not on yet. 3 waiting.
That's 3.
We're up.
Good. Ready.
Good evening. Welcome to the November meeting of the Attleborough Events and Communications Committee. Apologies for the delay in starting. We had technical errors, technical problems with the camera, but we've sorted it now. We've got a lot to get through this evening, so we're going to move rapidly on. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Any apologies? Nope.
No, we're all here, aren't we?
Ed's
Oh, sorry, Councillor Tyra, he's got fire engagement.
Right, so Councillor Tyler, thank you. Item agenda number 2, declarations of interest. Any declarations? No. Okay. Item number 3, minutes of previous meetings. The first one we need to go through is the 28th of September. First of all, do we all agree it's a true reflection of the meeting?
Yeah, you need to propose in a second. I'm happy to propose.
Be a second, and could we all vote on that, please? Thank you. Could we just go through the action points on here? Contact list, reference, community involvement. I think we've moved on from that, haven't we? Yeah. Council Bloomers, Jubilee colours, we've addressed that. We wrote to, or we've had a community meeting, so that one's been done. Then we go on to Christmas food fair, which we have got that as an agenda item for later on this evening. Go through book sale, but that's an agenda item for later this evening, and that's it on that one. So if we could now go on to the minutes of the meeting on the 18th of October. Is everyone happy that this is a true reflection of the meeting? Would somebody propose and seconded? And could we all vote on this, please? Thank you. Quickly go through the action points from this one. This is resolved. Looks like we didn't have any actual action points on that one, so
I think it was just a lot of discussion, wasn't it?
yeah, there was a lot of that. Okay, so moving on to agenda item number 4, community involvement, feedback on the meeting held the previous evening. So we had a good overall turnout at the meeting last night. Not so many from the retailers' side, but perhaps in a minute you could summarise what was discussed there on the markets. But we had a good response from the community engagement for the proposed Jubilee celebrations next year. So would you like to start with the feedback on the...
Yeah, so we had, like Debbie said, it was only a few turn up for the first part of the meeting. There was some interest in the free market stalls. Again, some of the interest yesterday seemed to be for a Saturday from a couple. So that idea is still, I think, somewhere that could be progressed. And then obviously there's the Thursday market that we already currently have. One of the things that come up in the discussion that was one of my suggestions was how there is obviously businesses in the town centre that might not benefit directly from having a market stall. For instance, like hairdressers, because they're not going to be sat in Queen Square cutting people's hair. No. But we could, either ourselves as councillors or, you know, if there's anyone else that's willing to volunteer, have a volunteered voucher stall present at the markets. So you could have a mixed array of vouchers from the different salons in town, beauty products. Sundays is just rebranded, hasn't it? Afterglow, Cindy's Nails, for instance, where you could get gift vouchers and obviously, do you know what I mean? Bits and pieces. And again, some of our restaurants So I don't know if the White Lodge or the Stag or the Mulberry or anywhere else do them in town, but we could get some gift vouchers from them as well if they're willing to participate. So that was just one idea of how we could support maybe the businesses that might not benefit so much. We did say that with the free market store, obviously when it was agreed to give it for 6 months, there was no date put in place. So it wasn't necessarily like that starts now. So last night we discussed the potential that it could start in the new year, which would give us an opportunity to obviously maybe get our eggs in line. Is that the phrase? I don't know if it is. I think I made that up.
Eggs in line.
But also
Ducks in a row.
that's the one. But also give the stall holders an opportunity to think about what produce they might like to sell on their stalls and bits and pieces and get set up on their end as well. I did vaguely, like very lightly, look into yesterday licenses and bits and pieces. Spoke to the ladies in the office, Paula and Anne, and they provided us with some of the application forms. So we had some of them out last night so that the retailers that did turn up could take a look at them. It might be an idea maybe to put one on the website somewhere so that if anyone, or even share a link on Facebook so that could be taken a look at. And then also they said that with that, all they ask for at the moment is probably for insurance. When we were talking as well about that, there was a suggestion that perhaps we might be able to get like a work our insurance so that it covers all of them, like a bit of a blanket cover for under our so that we could cover the market to try and take out some of the red tape that might put people off potentially.
I'm not convinced that is a thing. I think that's got to be looked at carefully because insurance is bespoke to the person being insured, and it will cover. So the council's PLI will cover visitors to the council, but to cover other people doing their own thing on our insurance, I think it's got to be looked at carefully.
If it's us organising the market, like I think it is a bit of a grey area, but I think it is something worth looking at.
I see what you're saying because it's almost like if you have the event, you have events insurance, so we're talking about using that principle for a market. But if you are an operating business, the chances are you
would probably have it
your own
anyway.
liability anyway. So it's
but it's just whether or
something that
not there's a clause that would cover them outside of them. And also I am thinking about the fact that some of the businesses that come forward two of the businesses that come forward yesterday, they have full-time jobs. This is like a little side piece for them. I don't know the right way to say it.
Sideline.
Yeah, so they I'm not 100% sure. They might do. I don't actually think we stopped and asked, but also I'd looked at licensing as well, because normally there's like, do you know what I mean, market licenses. And hang on, I'm just trying to get this right, so I'll just bring it up.
I think as well with the Kay was looking this up. A lot of these people who do things as a sideline, they trade at craft fairs, so they would have some form of insurance in order to be able to trade at these weekend craft fairs. But I think as Taylor's saying is that's something we need to look into and confirm before we go ahead with this.
Before we make any final decisions, I think it's something just to explore. The other was the obviously street trading, which as well, it depends on whose land it is. So the message I've got says it's your land, so you need to license them and charge appropriately, which, as you say, is free. But you will need to agree a fee after the 6 months and balance your books by adding the fees as a cost to ATC over to you. It will come under our market charter. So I wondered if the market charter, if that's obviously, I'm assuming it's a document that we hold as the council, if that's something that we can take a look at in a little bit more detail as well. And then hopefully feedback. And we did say after Christmas. So this is something that we can look at over the next 2 months and maybe feedback in January meeting.
Yeah.
And then hopefully have some direction with the retailers that are interested, keep promoting it and try and keep those lines of communication open and hopefully have some progress, and in the spring have a nice market. We'll see.
Okay, so the other area that we looked at last night was the community involvement in the Platinum Jubilee. Just to summarise for those that weren't there last night, it's a 4-day bank holiday at the beginning of June, and there's various points came up last night which will involve further investigation. Jumping forward, what we said we would do is tonight agree the date and time of the next meeting to be had after Christmas with the community groups. And individually, they're all going to go away and speak to their own committees and make decisions on what sort of things they're going to be doing. There was discussions as well about a possible carnival. And so we said we would make contact with the carnival committee that normally runs the carnival in the town, and have discussions to see if they have any plans for next year, because it would make sense to tie the two things in together. On top of that, we also need to speak to the schools to find out what plans they have. So we need to organise a meeting with the schools. Things that so far have been penciled in for that 4 days. We have, there will be the Heritage Group have a provisional booking for the Saturday afternoon in the town hall. We have a church service on the Sunday afternoon happening. We have had the offer of support for a teddy bears picnic on the Saturday, whether or not that's part of a carnival event, but we've had the offer of providing food, and we would need to look at booking entertainment if we are going to do a teddy bears picnic there. Then we need to book the register. We need to register for the beacon, which actually was an item which was in correspondence from the last meeting that was carried forward.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go ahead with the beacon for the Thursday night, we do need to register as a town council for that. So could I ask, could you do that for us?
Yeah, do you need a proposal for that, or should I just do it?
Well, let's just propose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the proposal is that we go ahead and register for a beacon in the town for the Platinum Jubilee, which is on Thursday, the 2nd of June.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday, the 2nd of June. I'll put the proposal forward if someone will second it. And those in favour? Okay, so that's the registration. So another idea that was discussed, which we need to move forward on, is an emblem competition run by age groups. So we need to get that running before Christmas. So I would propose that.
If you're talking about getting involved with schools, don't touch schools this side of Christmas, particularly primary schools.
No, when I say we need to get it running, we need to get it set up ready so that in the new year, you know, because we need to start using the emblem. So if we can get it set up, we thought about doing it via age groups rather than by school, because that will involve children who live in the town and go to school, you know, elsewhere, which happens. So perhaps we could have a few of us get together and do that. Nancy, helping, shall we do that?
What is it that needs to be done?
We need to just put something together, don't we, really? You know, some sort of poster or something. We'll come and we'll get that sorted. It doesn't need a resolution. Yeah, if you can help us do that. So what we need to do now is propose a date and time for the next meeting with the community.
Can I have one or two things I've been given since last night?
Yes,
Actually, I
yeah.
have also.
Oh,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Brownies, Rainbows and Guides suggested a walking pageant through the town dressed in red, white and blue, ending up with stalls for fundraising, performing in the central ring by groups, you know, nothing, not the pipe band or anything,
No,
local groups.
yeah.
And the comment was, children like nothing better than showing off, walking through town and spending money. So, you know, and they said that covered all three of those, yeah, the parents' money. And the other communication I've had was from Christ Community Church.
Yeah.
They want to be kept involved because they want to be involved in the town, because where they are, you know, it's sort of out the way, and they want to be part of it, you know, but they want to be part of the town, the thing, rather than down the end of Harpham Road. At the moment, that's where they are. So that they said, could they, you know,
I had a brief conversation with the lady from there last
Mhm.
night, and that's interesting because one area, we've just spoke about the brownies, we've spoken about the old, the heritage group, but it's that middle generation, and I know that the Christ Community Church do a lot of work
Yes,
with the
they do.
youngsters, and I think to try and work with them and other groups that target that age group would be beneficial because we can come up with all these ideas, but we need to, for all ages. But I think in the first instance, we need to make communication with the carnival committee and see what they're.
Yes, I think
It's just
it was
one
just
more
that they've
point.
been handed to me, so
Probably be too far, that if they're going to do a walk-through time, there'll be a route closure.
Yeah.
Which won't be just one. Won't it?
No.
And also the thing you're describing, which sounds great, is very similar to what you get with the summer carnival. So I think that's something we need to look at in terms of, like you said, what the carnival doing, because we don't want to duplicate, but combining maybe will be.
I've done what I said I'd do and pass on.
Yes. That's great.
It can all be, the thing is, if we get it right, it could all be interlinked.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know,
If the carnival wants
everybody
to
all
do a
interlinked,
carnival like a
every-
normal,
yeah.
they'll
yeah.
have to have the road closure anyway.
And that's interesting that point you said about without the marching bands and all that, because that all costs money, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does,
Yeah,
yes.
And it's moving from that sort of fate type event to something grand and spectacular, where you then have to start charging people to get in, and
We have a lot of talent in Attleborough. It can be anything. It can be the martial arts demonstrating. It can be the Cub Scouts and a dance group. It doesn't matter. It's part of the community. Rather than have local people and pay the earth for people, from outside.
One thing that was brought up by the lady from the dance group last night was because the Connaught Hall's out of action, and at the moment we don't know how long it's going to be, is the fact there is no stage anywhere that people can use, and it might be interesting to investigate. I have in the past hired stages. You can hire
The blocks.
I mean, that might again be something that we could look into, because either hire one, or you can sometimes pick them up at auction, secondhand, where schools have closed down, because then if we were having an event on even on the square, we could use part of it, couldn't we? Or you could put it on the recreation ground, and that would add to the atmosphere. So you've got something.
I have. So I've had the same, I think probably the same feedback as you from the brownies. The brownies would be very keen to have involvement if there was any kind of parade or anything like that. I've also had correspondence from Matthew in terms of St Mary's. They're proposing to run a craft market in the churchyard from April to September on the second Saturday of the month, and they would like to tie that in some way if they can. And the second one I've had is from a lady who is informative as to what she'd like to do and asking for a bit of advice as well. She lives on the Springfields estate and would like to coordinate a bit of a kind of tea dance or something on the green space there for the Jubilee weekend for that area of town.
Now, on that subject of the street parties, this is being encouraged for the Sunday, and I think I'm right in saying that we believe that Breckland issued.
So with I can't remember what the last big event was. What was the last Jubilee?
There was a Jubilee
Was it a
in
Jubilee?
2012.
Oh no, there was a couple of years ago. There was something.
It was on in 2002. I think that was
It might have been for the royal wedding, actually. I can't remember what it was. It was something not that long ago. But yeah, so basically on Breckland's website, if you went on their social media, they'd share the links, and they'd done like street party packs. So you could literally, it was a print out, like you could literally apply online, get it, and then you could print it out. They had like bunting and stuff that kids could colour in, that you could put up, and they were really lovely, actually.
It was the wedding,
But
wasn't it?
yeah, I think it might have been. Yeah, I know it was some royal event. But I just think they'll, to be fair, probably do it again because they're pretty good at things like that. If not, some simple templates like that, like do you know what I mean, like cutouts or something. I think we could try and promote to get people who, like, do you know what I mean, like a little party pack. I'm sure we can find some inspiration somewhere. But I do think Breckland probably will do that and we won't have to. We can still promote what they're doing, like the fight packs that they're running, if they do.
On this street party thing, that's something we definitely need to investigate whether Bretland are planning to do that. The second thing is that